You ever play a game where you absolutely had no business winning, but somehow you did anyway? Well, that's what happened in today's gameplay. Hey, Nick from Card TCG, and today I'm going to be showing off some gameplay from a local tournament that I was at. Thank you very much to everybody who not only participated, but let me record and publish to YouTube. I wouldn't be able to make these videos without you, so thank you very much. This is an Arceus counterbox deck, something that I really want to like this deck. It's just something about it just like, I can never seem to really nail with this deck, but either way, if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment, all kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel, other people should watch it, and we're just gonna get into the gameplay. Alright, fist bump means the gameplay is underway, and I'm gonna start off. I win the coin flip, so I get to draw for turn. I gotta get a, I'm sorry that's a little crooked, I gotta get, like, these cloth mats don't have rubberized bottoms, so I'm gonna, like, bring tape or something so I can secure the mat to the table. We're just gonna go ahead and start off with a quick ball. We got an Arceus in the active, which is really nice. Can't really ask for too much more than that. But we see that we're playing against a Lost Zone deck, so my immediate thought is we gotta find our Flying Pikachu V, and we gotta find the Flying Pikachu Vmax, making sure that we have all that stuff in the deck. There's really not a lot we can do on our first turn. We want to make sure that when possible we keep track of our energy counts, because we need the lightning energy to attack with the Flying Pikachu. So something to consider, something to keep in mind. If we had an energy, that would be like ideal turn one, but I don't think we actually do. So we're just going to go ahead and we are going to bench a second Arceus. And the reason we bench that second Arceus, and then we just pass it off, the reason we bench that second Arceus is because we're playing against a Lost Zone deck. You can see my hand right there. I got the Sharon's Care, Marnie Research, and Pikachu Vmax. The reason we want to bench on the Arceus is because Lost Zone decks can attack their first turn. They have the ability to potentially get 7 cards in the Lost Zone on their first turn. They have the opportunity to do things like Mirage Gate, and they also just can attack with Cramorant. So if they play something like an Escape Rope and then attack with the Cramorant, if I don't have a second Arceus or another Pokemon on the bench, I'm forced to give them the Flying Pikachu, which I don't want to do. I do not want to make it easy for them to knock out this Pikachu. It is pretty much my win condition for the game. So we're just going to let them, if they do Escape Rope, we're going to switch the Arceus, so they're forced to attack into an Arceus. It's going to be really hard to two-shot an Arceus V-Star, especially if they don't have the choice belt immediately, which a lot of times these decks tend not to. So we, I mean, sometimes they do. I shouldn't say they tend not to. It really just depends on the build. But my opponent here, Flower Selecting Acid, their Colress, gets rid of the Sableye. Really tough choice, and they go ahead and get another Comfey onto the bench. They don't get a Radiant Greninja right away. They do, however, get the Raikou V, which is terrifying. And you can see them considering attaching for turn. Attaching to the Raikou for turn, which they do commit to, is going to be really kind of annoying, because then they just power it up next turn, just attach Mirage Gate. They already got 4, and they go ahead and hit with the Spit innocently to get 110 damage on the active. Now, you saw that I had the Sharon's Care in the active, and I top deck a double Turbo Energy. So what I do is I evolve the Pikachu Vmax, I attach the DTE to the benched Arceus, and I play Sharon's Care so that they can't knock out that active and keep them from getting 2 prizes, and I just immediately go for the Trinity Nova. This was my huge mistake. I didn't bench the second Arceus V to prevent against the Escape Rope plan. So now if my opponent Escape Ropes, I'm forced to give them the Flying Pikachu into that Raikou, which, by the way, Flying Pikachu Vmax is weak to Lightning. So they would just go ahead and take 3 huge prizes immediately. And I would never, it would have been absolutely insane. It was such a misplay on my part. I just got a little excited. You're thinking about the recording, and you're thinking about, like, you're just kind of talking, you're thinking, you're excited for the play, like, oh, okay, I'm going to Sharon's Care, I'm going to do this, and you forget to do the last part of the step, which is, of course, bench the second Arceus V, and you see my opponent instantly plays that escape rope. Like, why would you not? Yeah, of course, play the escape rope. And they give me I'm shuffling my deck, which is why I haven't swapped it over yet. So if you're wondering, like, well, why didn't you? I'm just shuffling it. We'll get there in a second. So they go ahead, flower select. They got 5 in the lost zone. Here's number 6. Now, they use the scoop up net. Battle VIP has a really easy choice, something very easy to get rid of. They attach the energy and retreat. That's very, very important for the rest of this turn. They flower select and they get rid of the escape rope, which escape rope here does not help them, right? Because if they escape rope to get the Raikou into the active, well, then they attack into my Arceus, not my Flying Pikachu, which is really, really bad for them. So they get rid of a VIP pass and a metal energy, but now this Comfey's stuck in the active. My opponent, the second escape rope is, they used one, lost zone 1, they already used like 3 scoop up nets. And they already retreated for turn, so they're really just trying to find a switch. Something like an air balloon and escape rope does not help them. They need to find the 4th scoop up net or a switch card or something like that, and they just don't have it. I got super, super lucky. Now, if I had benched the second Arceus, it might not have been that big of a deal, because then I just escape rope and then I can, use something like Arceus V-Star to find an air balloon or a switch or something, and to get that Flying Pikachu into the active. But my opponent, using the Mirage Gate, they have 7 in the lost zone, so they're able to Mirage Gate here. They're going to set up that Raikou. You can see that they're getting ready to get the lightning energy. There's the water. They don't have that many more energies in the deck either. They attach the lightning energy to the Raikou and the water to the Comfey. Why did they attach to the bench Comfey? It's so they have a pivot for next turn. So it's now my turn. Once I cut this deck, I'm going to presumably attack the benched Comfey, so the active Comfey. So that means next turn, they're going to be able to promote the Comfey with the water energy, and now they have a guaranteed retreat, a guaranteed pivot, so they can do something. But they're already down 2 ropes. They've used 1 and lost sold 1. So they don't have any more ropes, and you know what? They've seen a bunch of cards, and I'm just going to go ahead and Marnie them to the bottom of the deck, because I don't want them to have as many options, right? If I can reduce and disrupt my opponent's hand, lost zone decks can sometimes take a hit. One of the things that they need are those big hands to kind of piece together some combos. Yes, there is the chance that they'll find a chorus off of the Comfey. They can Radiant Greninja. They can see 4 cards and then chorus. Now they're seeing 9. Yeah, absolutely. They build that hand back up pretty quickly. But if I can make it that much harder for them, maybe it buys me a turn or 2, then I'm in a pretty decent spot. I go ahead and Ultra Ball for the Arceus V-Star, and I don't have to use the V-Star power right away. Something that I probably should have done. This deck does run Espeon V and Vmax. I should have went ahead and got the Espeon V and put it into play, so that the next turn, they maybe Sableye once, but then they're not able to Sableye again, because the Espeon VMAX would come into play the following turn. But for now, we're just trying to figure out, should I Starburst? Do I need to do anything? I attach a Psychic Energy to the Arceus. I don't need to, but I want to be ready. And then there we go. We take the first prize of the game, and now it is my opponent's turn. So, Max Balloon. Oh, actually, that was prize number 2. I don't know why I thought that was prize number... No, it is. No, that was prize number 1. I was right. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what game I'm watching. You guys are watching it. You guys are watching the same game as me. My opponent instantly Raihans to get the Psychic Energy onto the Sableye that they just benched. Like I said, now they have the Water Energy to act as a pivot. Max Balloon is one of those things that says your opponent can't put damage from attacks onto this Pokemon from basic Pokemon. So basic Pokemon don't do damage to Pokemon to Flying Pikachu VMAX, but damage counters, well, the card says nothing about damage counters, so they just go ahead and put 12 damage counters on my Flying Pikachu, and now it's time for me to attack. This is where I start to set up the Espeon V. I'm going to go ahead and put that into play momentarily, and I'm getting ahead to that because I want to talk about Espeon VMAX and Flying Pikachu. We put quite a bit of a hold on my opponent here. Flying Pikachu, just saying Max Balloon over and over again means that unless they have an evolution Pokemon in their deck, they're not able to attack this Pikachu. So they're going to get maximum one more attack with Lost Mind to put another 12 damage onto this flying Pikachu, but that's not enough to KO. So after I get that Espeon Vmax into play, it has the ability Solar Revelation that says my Pokemon that have energy aren't able to be, they're not affected by effects of my opponents. So they're not able to Lost Mine, they're not able to Quick Shootings, Galarian Zigzagoon, all that kind of stuff, not able to do. So really nice. Damage is not in effect, but yeah, we're just ready to go. You can see we're starting to set that up, and without an escape rope or boss, or I mean, really they need both, right? My opponent is not able to really do much. Maybe if they bench like a Dragonite V and they escape rope for the third time or boss up the Arceus, like that's their best bet right now is to try to boss up this this Espeon V and attack it. But really, there's not too much that they can do, right? A lot of stuff doesn't knock it. They don't do a ton of damage. The Raiku's only doing 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, maybe 100 damage, right? At the current moment, but yeah, it's not going to be enough to knock out the Espeon, and then I just retreat it, and then they're not able to deal with it anymore. So we kind of put them into a really tough situation. We just go ahead and hit with Max Balloon, pass it over to my opponent. They go ahead and use the Colress. Now, one of the things they have to do if they want to even continue to put damage onto this Pikachu is one Sableye lost, it's in the lost zone, and they have one in the deck, and they probably only, one's in the discard, rather, and one's in the lost zone. They probably only have two, which means they need to get an Ordinary Rod and a way to get the Sableye onto the bench. And they need an energy, and they have to be able to get the active Comfey, well, out of the active. So they need quite a few things in order to make another Sableye attack happen. So you see they get the Radiant Greninja. They're going to be able to start drawing some cards there. And, you know, it's useful. They could use Moonlight Shuriken to go ahead and put some damage onto the bench, which is something that you can see they're going to start to build to. They use the concealed cards to just flat out draw two. They're leaving the supporter in the field so that we know what has been played, all that kind of stuff. It's just a way to prevent misplays and not misplays, but like errors. They do get rid of that Ordinary Rod, so the Psychic Energy and the Sableye are going to stay there for the time being. And I really don't know what else they can really do at this point, especially once they get the Espeon Vmax into play. So they do attach to the Greninja. They're starting to set up, right? You can see they're starting to try to get ready to Moonlight Shuriken to get another Cramorant into play. They can bench Cramorants all they want. Doesn't really matter. What they are trying to do is get more damage with the Raikou should they be able to attack. But for now, they're just going to go ahead and pass it off to me. So we evolve into the Espeon Vmax. I attach an energy to it. I attach the Capture Energy. I can't remember if this deck does play Manaphy, which would be really, really nice. It's going to prevent any type of bench damage. If they have the Amazing Rare Raikou, they have the the different Kyogres. There's two Kyogres that are, you know, possible. One's an Amazing Rare Kyogre that does like 80 to everything, and then the other is the Celebrations Kyogre that does 50 damage for each energy off the top 5 cards of your deck to two of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So Manaphy would be kind of nice, and they would be able to Sableye it, but I don't think they'd actually be able to pull it off this next turn, like a big Sableye play. It's possible, but I don't really see it happening, especially after Lost Zoning and Ordinary Rod. Two of them are already accounted for, like the two Sableyes. So don't have the Manaphy in deck, and I don't think there's one in the deck at all. It's not even prized. So something to consider. But for now, we just continue our Max Balloon party here and just attack. And they can use Fleet-Footed with the Raikou, but they can't damage it. So yeah, there goes another Comfey, so they have some flower selecting opportunities. They are going to put down an Amazing Rare Kyogre, I believe that is. But what else is there really to do? They'll be able to Mirage Gate in just a moment, I think. and they're going to power up that Radiant Greninja so they can do 90 to the 2 bench Pokemon at the very least. But after that, I mean, there's a training court, okay. They can recover a water energy and attach for turn. So that's exactly what they do. And then they do go ahead and play the Mirage Gate. What they will need is an energy recycler. They have a lot of energies in the discard, a few in the Lost Zone. So even after they do go ahead and attack with this Radiant Greninja, it might be a little challenging to pitch together another attack right away. You see, they put a water energy onto that Raikou, which maybe would have been, I mean, if they had the energy recycler, then yeah, sure, maybe they can go ahead and put it onto the Raikou so they can Mirage Gate later, and they hit the 90 damage onto the 2 benched Pokemon. So back to my turn. You know, it's going to be a long time before they're able to knock out those Pokemon. And even if they do knock out the Espeon and the Arceus over time with Radiant Greninja, which I'm going to knock out this turn anyway, and the amazing rare Kyogre, which I would knock out, they're not going to have enough turns and enough energies to make it happen. So I used the Heavy Ball just to see if Manaphy was in the prizes. But, I mean, I'm attacking here, which brings me down to 2 prizes. And they don't have a way at the moment to knock out both the Espeon and the bench and the Pikachu kind of at the same time to make this game happen. So it's just a little unfortunate between prizing and some awkward Lost Zone cards for my opponent there. But they played really well, and that could have been super scary, so don't make those mistakes. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.